Hello and welcome. My name's Vicky Boucher, and this is A Wealthy Life. This is the second of two episodes, which are really exploring stereotypes and how that can be affecting our mindset. I think that's what it all boils down to. It's almost as if I've been working out what my question is by exploring the answers with you. I hope you found it interesting as you journey along with me, and I hope you're going to find this episode interesting as well. So last week I was speaking about women, and this week I want to speak about men. That doesn't mean to say if you're not a man, don't listen. The same as last week, it doesn't mean to say if you're a woman, don't listen to last week's. Because what I'm hoping is that you'll find this interesting, that it'll get you thinking. More importantly, it might get you writing an email telling me what you think. I'd love to hear your views. And of course, if you are interested in this sort of thing, then it's an opportunity for you to sort of go and explore that side of your thinking and work out what all of this means to you. I think that's what I'm looking to do. I spend a lot of my time working with people, and I'm fascinated by the way that we think. And from understanding how we think, it's possible for us to have better thoughts. By having better thoughts, we can live a better and happier life. And I think that's what it's around. And again, that's going to bring me back to the same word as mindset, and way back over the episodes, I'm always talking to you about mindset, or sometimes the term the right mindset. And it's not about right and wrong, but it's about the way that you think supporting you to live the life that you want. And that's what I hope I'm doing with these episodes, these two specifically, but generally all of the episodes, all of the podcasts that I put out, is helping you to work out how you can think better so that you can live the life that you want to live, a wealthy life, I hope. Okay, so enjoy. And as I said, I'd love to hear back from you. Thank you very much. Goodness, it feels like a lifetime ago. So last week I was speaking about the historical suppression of women. Wow, that's a topic, isn't it? A little bit of light listening for you. In fact, on reflection, I think it was really born out of my awareness of a change in the women, or a lot of the women that I'm speaking to. And in a sense, me trying to re-envisage what women want. And out of that, a curiosity about what's influencing those thoughts. So I have my conversations with people. They book a free half-hour call with me, and you're welcome to do that as well. As part of that is working out, either for some, whether they can understand their finances better so they can be better in control and become more financially resilient. It might be for some looking at their finances and wondering whether they could get their finances to work harder, and whether property investment is something that they want to do, and whether I'm the person that they want to help them. So those are the sorts of conversations I have. And out of those conversations, what I'm also looking to do is, it's not just about money, but it's money for a purpose. For what purpose do you want your money to work harder, or do you want more money if you don't have, or feel you have enough at the moment? And I suppose a summary that I've been able to put together for most people is that they want to feel happier, whatever happiness means to them. And then that leaves that open so that it's different for everybody. People want to be generally happy. Fortunately, I've never spoken to anybody who says to me, "Oh, hi, Vicky, my name's so-and-so, and I'd like to live a miserable life, and I'd like you to help me achieve that." So I've never had that call. So whatever their nuance of it, the sort of the summary is that everybody wants to be happy. And I suppose maybe because I'm quite mathematical about things, I'm trying to work out, okay, so what are the steps to being happy? So the first step to being happy is to removing stress. And then if we're going to remove stress, how do we do that? And one of the biggest things, now I can't deal with your relationships for you, that's down to you. But what I can do is help you deal with your money, because that's easier, that's more tangible. And so understanding, first of all, that your finances are important, and then understanding the maths of it. That's all the easy bits that I can take care of. So now I'm starting to speak to women who are coming across with different questions, or they're posing themselves in different ways that is causing me to sort of re-envisage what it is that women want in life. And as I said to you, that's that's creating this sort of curiosity in me. And I love that detective role, if you like, that uncovering things and finding out the meanings and the factors that led to a specific point in time or a specific situation. And so what I wanted to do this week is also reflect on the role of men in just the same way. And this is less about suppression. Um, and I'm not dwelling on their role in suppressing women in particular, but it's more about what is it that men are struggling with. So if when I start to do this values work with women, I'm starting to come across words that, and I might be wrong because they can mean different things to different people. You know, one word can have a different meaning to each of us. But to me, the words of value and appreciation, when put into my world and my world context, came up with, that's quite interesting. So now what I want to do is I want to play the same reflective game with the conversations that I have with male clients. And I think probably right back to one of the very first podcasts that I ever recorded, it was about the feeling that I was hearing from my male clients, trying to understand what was driving these thoughts again, so that I could help. And in summary, nearly every man I spoke to wanted to give up work. They were either exhausted on the one hand or missing time with their families. And this is almost two sides of the same coin, depending on whether they had a family. So the exhaustion was just because they were putting all their time and their energy into work. The missing time with their families was because of putting all their time and energy into work. And I started to notice this more and more, and I was able to dig in and ask better questions. And of course, you ask better questions, you get better answers. And so it started to be about this idea of controlling time. And some men felt that they did not have control over their own time. It's either not enough time. That's why they didn't feel like they had control over it. It felt like it was slipping through their fingers, this idea of missing or losing or loss. And others were just almost made to do too much in the amount of time that they had. And so time equaled exhaustion. The lack of time equaled exhaustion for them. And if I was to reflect on these conversations now through the lens of stereotypes, as we've just been speaking about, I would say that the male stereotype is exhausting these men. It's not the lack of time, but actually a drive to provide. So the stereotype for a man, and I think this stereotype is less about the history of, I don't know, whether it's witchcraft or being a possession sold as a political pawn, that type of thing, sold into wedlock as a political pawn that women have experienced. And I think more recently, it's Hollywood that has done it. The man is the protector. He's the strong and silent type, and he provides for his family. And if you look at that, it's all well and good, but we're not cave people anymore. It's not that men need to go out and hunt. And the reason they're the ones to go out and hunt is because they actually have the physical strength to drag back the dead mammoth that the women would cook. And yet somehow men still feel that they have to provide. That is the role of the husband. That is the role of the father. And I do think that this particular stereotype is not helped by biology, because on top of this, instead of hunting in the modern world for food, and therefore you need the strength to carry back the dead thing that you've got, it's only women that can bear children. And therefore, at some stage in a relationship, the balance is tipped towards the man needing to take on responsibilities alone, while their partner is maybe on maternity leave, might be dealing with the new baby, might be dealing with the pregnancy, if you get all that in the right order, might be dealing with the pregnancy, then the maternity leave, and then a new baby. And during that period, well, there's a lot of dynamics that go in there. So what's the man's role? And he falls much stronger into this idea of, now I've got a family, now I must provide even more. And so what does modern providing look like? Well, work, obviously, earning money. But I also think it's about not complaining about that role. So modern providing is about going to work in order to earn money, but not bringing any of the stresses or any of the concerns that you have into your life at home. You almost need to leave that at the front door. That idea of, and again, this is sort of part Hollywood, but also, is this true of my parents? I don't think so, but possibly more of my grandparents' era, which is a long time ago. But the man comes home from work, the woman has cooked the dinner, the man sits and has a drink, and he just has that drink and settles into the home. And almost like what he's doing is he's decompressing through the sitting there and having a drink or a cigarette or whatever they were doing, rather than actually unpacking. So how was your day, dear? And the wife's role is, how is your day, dear? But the man's role is not to tell the truth. Their role is to be silent. This work role doesn't always require physical strength, although, you know, some do tend to attract more men, but it is about being silent. And that is, for me, very definitely the lead male in a Hollywood movie, the strong, silent, brooding type, often having a cigarette or having a drink, you know the sort. And silence is not doing anyone any good. And where last week I was talking about the historical suppression leading to women feeling undervalued, even fearful, this notion of a man in charge but not talking about his feelings could be seen as a direct causal link to the struggles that a lot of men face. The mental health issues that men face are profound. And is that caused because they're not supposed to show their feelings? Is that, as a man, is that how you feel, that you're not supposed to show your feelings? There's going to be this pressure on you where you have to show your partner that you love them, whatever that means. But at the same time, if you're sad, you can't say. If you're angry, you definitely can't say, because you don't want to come across as an aggressive sort. And so what do you do with how you feel about work, how you feel about how your life is, how you feel about, I suppose, yourself in society? So if we scale all this back a little, the men I'm talking to are struggling. They might not think of it in that way, but they are. They're exhausted by this stereotypical pressure to provide, and combine that with not asking for help. I remember one client, an absolutely awesome dad, experienced investor, finally crying when I reflected back to him all that he'd achieved, because he felt like a failure for not doing enough. I mean, that's just ridiculous. I remember speaking to a couple. The husband had got in touch with me because he felt pressured by the finances. He felt pressured with, again, this thing of having to provide a certain amount of money and not feeling like he was good enough and he wasn't providing enough. And when I spoke to them, the wife was in a position where she was at home with their second newborn child. She was completely unaware of the finances, but in her past pre-second child life, she'd had a responsible job in business. She was used to being able to make decisions. She was an intelligent woman. And now here she was at home doing a very important job, taking care of the baby, but not being stimulated and not being engaged in what was going on in the family. And here was her partner really struggling, but not feeling like he could speak to her. And it wasn't supposed to be a counseling session. It was about money. And actually, in the end, I got them talking about money. And he really felt, I don't know if the word is undervalued, underperforming. He didn't feel like he was good enough at work because he didn't feel like he was earning enough, and he didn't feel like he was bringing enough into the family. So he felt like he was underperforming, but isn't that really a bit like getting undervalued too? We're at a point where maybe he felt undervalued. The first man very definitely felt undervalued. But this time, instead of this historical suppression idea, it's their own stereotyping that's been creating a burden that's simply too big for you to carry alone. And frankly, I don't believe we're designed to be alone. I'm not saying we all need to be in nice, neat pairs, but communities where we can support and value one another for the role that we play based on our skills and, of course, our preferences. But rather than conforming to a set of unwritten rules that seem to be inconcrete, it's just strange, isn't it? This idea, for example, that the parents of girls are giving their children dolls, as I said before, and boys the train sets. But girls don't have to just play with dolls and have kitchens and do hair and makeup and all of those pink games. They're literally branded in pink. And the boys' stuff is branded in blue, and their train sets and engineering and possibly even a science set. But also, big boys don't cry. Well, actually, boys can cry if they feel sad. It's just the same. So it's about this idea that maybe what I'm hearing from my clients, not directly hearing from my clients, but from two different ways. I'm hearing from my clients that they feel undervalued, not in a horrible way, my wife, my husband doesn't value me, not that. Although there's quite a bit of I don't feel valued at work. So if you're an employer, pay attention. Mind you, if you're an employer listening to this, I'm sure you're a great employer. But how often do we say to our partners, to family members either, wow, I really appreciate that. Thank you. I mean, I hope we do use those words. I know that I make a real effort. I can't say I always get it right, but I make a real effort to do that. And Bob and I used to play this game where I think he had to say words that began with A, and I said words that began with C. And it came from some video or course that I heard about where you have to say these words to your partner. And I think he was, I have to adore him, admire him, and appreciate him. And he had to care for me, comfort me, and caress me. And I loathed this game because I don't want to be, well, it's nice to be cared for. I'd rather be cared about. And I don't want to be, whatever the other words were. And I don't want to adore. I mean, I love my husband, but I don't, to adore seems to put him up on a pedestal. I'd like to be adored as well. Why can't we both be adored? Why can't we both be admired? Why can't we both be comforted? Why can't we both be cared for? Why can't we both be caressed? It doesn't have to be this divide. And is it this divide that is actually causing the problem? Yes, we need to acknowledge that we're different. We have different needs. We have different potentially strength capabilities. We have different mental capabilities. We are wired differently. We will always have a situation where a woman is going to be constantly thinking, if she's had children, of those children. I mean, mine are in their 30s and I still think of them almost daily. Wonder, oh, are they all right? Should I give them a call, or what am I thinking of today? And how does that pan out during the week? And when did I last speak to them? You're always thinking of these things. And I'm quite sure that a man is always thinking of, he's created this unit, not he did, the partners together have created a unit. How does he play a role in this unit to support it, just as the woman is playing a role to support it? Somehow it's almost as if the woman's caring and nurturing role is easier to come by, and her feelings come from this societal, as I've said to you, this societal historical suppression. Whereas for the man, he knows that he wants to provide and he wants to contribute, but somehow there's this Hollywood hero been laid over the top of it that just suddenly adds a lot of pressure to it and makes him feel undervalued, which isn't necessary. Yeah, sorry, I'm not sure where all that came from. I would say that what I want to summarize through these two podcasts is, and although this isn't maybe the point that I was going to make, are we all feeling undervalued in one way or another? And do we need to turn to our employees, to our partners, to other people in our family, potentially even to our children, and express in whatever way you choose to express things? And I do think words need to be involved, that you value them, that you value the part that they play in your life, that you value them as a child, that you appreciate them, that you value them as a partner, that you value them as an employee. Do you value the bus driver? You know, when he opens the door and lets you off at the right stop? Do you value the person at the till who scanned your food? Do you value the person who stocked the shelves? Who else have you interacted with today? And have you said thank you and meant it? Not in a sort of the cheesy American way, but can we not be doing this more for one another, valuing one another for the roles that we play in society, whatever those roles may be? And the causes of the undervaluing may be completely different between people, but to say thank you and to appreciate people might lift them up, and you might not know how they're feeling. It could be the bit that makes a difference. So men can consider your partners, women consider your partners, parents consider your children. If your son wants to cry, let him, express to him that it's okay. Be that breaker of the mold that as a man has put you under so much pressure that you have had times in your life where you've not felt happy, you've not felt appreciated, you've not felt valued. And now you've got the chance to break out of that for yourself, but also make sure that it's not passed on generationally. Let's not have another, I don't know, tier of stereotypes being passed down the line. Let's make this the year that we stop passing on the burden of suppression, pressure, feeling undervalued. So I hope that I've been able to put some whoosh into your life. This is the second of the two podcasts that reflect on how we feel, how we are, well, certainly in the conversations I'm having, coming across as feeling maybe more sad. And it's made me reflect back on, as I said to you, episode 1 and 2 of this podcast nearly 2 years ago. And at that time, my desire was to help everybody be happy, because I was so fortunate when my marriage broke up. I undertook some amazing training that enabled me to release the labels and the stereotypical words that I'd acquired through both society, through school and being bullied, through marriage and being unhappy. And I'd let all of those go. And I was surrounded by people that wanted to help me, wanted to support me. And I was so grateful for that. I mean, it was such a vast difference from how I had felt in my relationship. That probably brought it into starker contrast. And I was grateful. And that's why I always promote this idea of gratitude. That's why I have my alarm at 3:33. That's why I do my exercises every day. What am I grateful for today? And I want to help other people feel happy, because, well, what better mission in life? But then what I've tried to do is work out, how can I do that? So the podcast was born so that I could share my understanding. And I hope that you've been able to understand what I'm trying to get at over these last 2 episodes. You don't have to agree. And I'd love to hear your point of view so that I can learn more. But above all, what I want to do is to help you shift your thinking a little. And of course, add that whoosh into your life to help you if you're a man listening to this, or if you know a man who needs to listen to this, please share it with him. Know that you're loved, not because you're a hero, but because you're you. And if you need help, ask. Silence is absolutely not your friend and not how you need to be. So thank you very much for listening. Check the show notes, because in the show notes, I'm going to put that link to that values manual again. If you need help, whether you're a man or a woman, if you need help, book a call and I'll do what I can to work through the values manual with you if that's what you want to do. Or if you've got something that you're struggling with, if you're not feeling valued, if you don't feel that your finances are working, whatever it is, I may not be exactly the right person, but I might be the first call that helps you to make another call, and that call might be the one that makes the difference. I might be the right person that helps you, and we can have that half-hour call, and you leave the call feeling so much more empowered, more whoosh into your life. And if that's the case, that would make me the happiest person on the planet. So check the show notes. Please, if you haven't listened to the first one because you thought it was about women, please go back and listen to it. And please share this. Please share this with your male and your female friends. Have a conversation about this. If you've listened to these podcasts, have a conversation. Ask your partner, do you feel undervalued? Do you feel this historical suppression? If you're a woman and you're listening to this and your partner isn't, ask them, do they feel under pressure? Do they feel valued? Do they know how much you value and appreciate them? And maybe by the time this podcast goes out, give it another week and everybody's had a listen, everybody will be feeling happier, more valued, and more on the way to living the sort of life that they want to live. And that's really all that I hope for you. Have a wonderful week, and I will speak to you next week. Don't worry, it's not going to be any more of this deep thinking. I'll come back to some regular topics for you next week, and I'll speak to you then. Thank you very much for listening.